Today we gather to mourn the loss of our national sovereignty and hence the coffin which lies here in the middle of this church today. A sovereignty that was extinguished when decisions were made by our democratically elected governments to hand over our country to a foreign superpower to be abused and bombed in the name of national security. We recall the treaty signed in 2004 by Senator Robert Hill, Foreign Minister Alexander Downer, and US Representatives Donald Rumsfeld and Colin Powell to authorise the US for the next 20 years to exploit pristine parts of our country as target practice and dumping ground for toxic substances. We, the citizens of Australia, lost our cherished sovereignty, the right to determine what happens on our soil, without many Australians even knowing about it.
It gives us an opportunity for both the Australian and the US military forces to get together and practice what our profession is. It's about high-end warfighting, right down through to looking after humanitarian assistance. The Americans have about 20,000 forces, of which about 14,000 will actually be on ships, about 7,000 on the land. And from the Australian side, we'll have about 7,500 operating in Shoalwater Bay and Townsville.
From my personal perspective, having been a soldier in the past, having been in the military, having gone through military training and having had first-hand experience of what it's like to be an aggressor, to be in a uniform, to carry a gun, to scare and to shoot and to maim innocent people. I don't understand how, I just can't live with that. I mean, it's happened, can't change the past. I accept what's happened. But today, by protesting and talking about peace, then perhaps people will take note that they can change themselves. They don't have to get stuck into that endless cycle of violence and war.
Training area. So for the sake of a shorthand of language, we're calling it Shoalwater Bay. Now, there is no such thing as a town, Shoalwater Bay itself. There's Byfield, which is right on the edge of the military encampment there. It's one of the 3 military gates, which are spread out over a large area. 3 military gates, which we'll be getting to know in the next week, where we'll have different actions at. It's not Byfield, which is where people like Steve Bishoprick, who have set up the embassy and are working with the locals through SWAGS, Shoalwater Awareness Action Group, that we've worked hard to sort of keep the lines of communication going with them, so it's not us outsiders coming up. We've had regular phone weekly link-ups. Some of you will know this, others of you won't know this, so you need to come up to speed about what we've been doing to keep the lines open.
Exercise Talisman Sabre commences today with the arrival of our Australian FA-18 aircraft that you can see behind us here, and a range of other aircraft that will be arriving over the next couple of days. Our role here is to provide the facilities and the support to the crews and air crews that are operating from Townsville for the exercise.
Aloha, aloha, Molo molo, that means welcome to the country.
May the spirits of our people be with you while you're here. Know that you people come from Hawaii, that you come in peace to this country, and you're going to be walking across our country for a little while. Of the people from Hawaii and Guam, who represent the people of the Pacific region, whose lives have been impacted on by nuclear contamination. We come and support those people because we most certainly sympathise with what's happening in their homelands. We most certainly wouldn't like to see those types of things happen here in Australia.
Remember, folks, we're not here to confront these guys, we're here to try and get them on side. I certainly know that most people that live in this community are on side, and that involves everybody. The water police chief down here, his wife is marching with us on Sunday. It's right through the community. So just, you know, bring them on side. To make it into a motion that this meeting of the Central Queensland Peace Convergence, call upon the military to cease actions at Shoalwater Bay. So, Steve, we might get together with that motion. Can we do a quick head count? I counted about 100 people here.
There are 7 people who are currently on the Shoalwater Bay training area. They went in yesterday morning. It's front page of the bulletin, and the military are questioning whether they really are on the base. And we want to put out an appeal today, not just to people here, but to everyone on our email contact lists, demanding that the war games stop, and while those 7 people are still on the base, and to demand that their safety is ensured.
So the major thing at the moment is that a missing persons report is going in. It can be done 2 hours as soon as someone has gone missing, so the other groups that have attended to go in, they can be filed as a missing persons report as well. And they're sort of getting SES people on side in case, to get them in, to get them out, knowing where they are for their health and their safety. So the police is actually sitting down and having serious conversation, and their next step is to go to the military now and request for them to come and talk and liaise with us. And if not, they will have to liaise that information from the head military people to come back and report to us about it. So there seems to be good progress happening of the seriousness of this. They're not taking it lightly, the police now. And they know that we're being put in a position that the reporters and the news are saying, oh, maybe, oh, maybe. We're stressing that our activists are professional. They've gone in there to risk their lives, and they will go to as far as they can with the, they'll go as far as they can to prove a point and to stop the military action happening in there.
We've got video footage to show that people have gone in. What the military are saying is we can't verify that footage has taken place at the time that people are saying it took place.
Break-in on camera, shot during the early hours of this morning. Caught on tape in the early hours of this morning, these images show peace activists entering bushland, with sign marking the area as a restricted military zone. Independent filmmaker David Bradbury was there. He says the images prove activists have infiltrated and exercised Talisman Sabre.
And at first light, went through from the forest and entered into the military training area. And their determination is to stay there as long as they can.
Among the protesters, this 66-year-old grandmother identified as June Norman.
Well, I'd like to stay for the 3 weeks of the game, but we don't have enough food and water for that, and I'd be really happy if we stayed in, 5-6 days. There's the war and the killing in Iraq. I can't sit back and let all of these innocent children and people be devastated by the US military and also the Australian.
Oh, look at this glorious country. Why would you want to bomb it? It's hard to imagine, you think you have a defence force to protect a place like this. It's hard to imagine that we're going to have 20,000 odd troops, apparently our own, blowing
a lot of our family members,
crap out of it.
When they had heard that Nils, family and friends had heard that Nils and the boys had gotten onto the site, was sort of a bit like, oh, that all sounds pretty easy, because they'd all, jokingly sort of said, I think it will be pretty easy. And I kind of went, that's interesting, do they actually sort of, maybe those guys don't think that people would be so disturbed and so opposed to what's going on in Shoalwater Bay that people would actually do that. I'd sort of found out that there was no live firing going on at the time while they were there. So that sort of, was a bit of a main concern, like what was happening at the base and them being there. And also that I'd had reports back from other people who'd had contact with them that they were all of them were in high spirits. I'm sort of more concerned for them all in terms of how the weather is. It's pretty cold and it's pretty wet, and I know, like I said, I know what they travelled with, and also I know that they're definitely prepared to stay there for as long as it takes. Like I'm very, very clear that was sort of something that in our lives we made arrangements for on all levels, you know, family, work, everything.
And do you guys have jobs / professions or?
Yeah, I'm a drama teacher, primary drama teacher.
Yeah.
Yep, and Neil's works in kitchens. He does chefing work.
Oh, great. What's the reason that they're in there?
To get, particularly this, I suppose, the joint initiative between the US Army and the Australian Army to actually stop and acknowledge the damage that is being done on all levels. Like for me, 600 kilometres away, it's actually not okay. It's not okay that that's happening. It's not safe, and as you know, we've got small children and also for the people who live here as well, like it just, yeah, it's not on. It's something that I think with all of the information and research and what looks to me as very clear-cut facts that are there, I don't understand how it can still go on. I really don't. So that's why I understand as well, other than these guys who are on the site, you know, there's 300 and 400 different people at different caravan parks who've come from all over Australia, you know, to say exactly the same thing. It's not okay.